The 2 Cent Report!
Welcome back to the 2 Cent Report. I am 1 Cent Justin, aka LC Lupus.
I'm 1 Cent Tristan. You can leave it at that, it's fine.
Yeah, we can leave it at that. And we will be discussing things in the video game industry and adjacent industries and news sources. It should be very entertaining.
I hope so. What?
I'm disgusted by you.
By my enthusiasm. You want more charismatic.
He made such a face at that particular moment. So anyway,
I was just really...
I will be the professional here, Tristan. Okay, so we will jump straight into the news. So, the first news item on our agenda today is that some people have too much money.
Yeah, that is very true.
And those people own GTA 5. So Rockstar Games has managed to sell a wonderful 140 million copies
that's amazing.
of GTA 5, including that one bit which I don't know if these count as sales. Maybe they do. When it was on the Epic Games Store for free.
I was also thinking that. I was also thinking like maybe the sales are influenced by the sales on Epic. Because everybody jumped on it for free. I mean, I remember getting it when it was cheap on Steam, and then 2 months later it was free on Epic, and I was thinking to myself, did I just spend all that money? I mean, like, yeah, it was on special, but these guys got better deals. I didn't get the full package on Steam. These guys got the whole thing.
See, I'm OG. I got it on PS3. And then I got it on Epic for free because I wasn't going to buy it again.
I played it on the Xbox when it first came out.
Nerd. Anyway, So yes, but really most of their money doesn't come from their sales. Most of their money comes from GTA Online.
Oh yeah, that's a big seller. That's a big seller.
Yeah. Nothing like aggressive monetization and microtransactions to really make proper money.
When they first came out, they had this really great system for dealing with trolls, for dealing with hackers. They would put them into the naughty corner.
Yes, into their own little place.
Now the gameplay, the DLCs, promote bullying within the game. I mean, there's the way to earn money when you get a warehouse, not a warehouse, a bunker, which they give to you for free if you got on Epic, and a sweet amount of cash, is you have to collect, create, or buy munitions. By collecting, you go on missions to actually rob munitions and other valuable stuff from people, bring it back to your bunker. And then after a while, once you've collected enough, you can sell it, which means that you need to load everything into a truck and drive it to the meetup. Biggest problem is that the moment you are going to go collect something or transport something, the map literally pings your location by putting a unique icon on you so that the whole map knows that you're transporting something. Now, this is how much they value the trolling in this game. You can only do it on online public servers. You can't do it on private servers. So you have to go into an online public server to do this mission. And it's not like they get a high reward for it. They get like $1,000 for knocking you out or something crazy like that. Whereas you could have lost $1 million in one transport. And you know who comes after you? The hoverbike people. With the rocket launcher. Every time.
You see, this is why, for me, I got it when it came out as a birthday present to myself, because it came out 2 days after my birthday. I finished it. I then tried the multiplayer once. When it came out, I didn't like it, and I never played it again.
But that's because you didn't have heists back then.
There were no heists.
Yeah, exactly.
You could literally just run around.
Yeah. Now, the heist...
That was it.
The heist is the biggest selling point.
I don't even think you'd own things.
They are fun. Don't get me wrong.
Well, the heists in the single player are great.
But you need a crew. The reason why I say this is because random people joining your game, you could do the entire prep work to the last prep step before the heist. And then if that guy decides that he needs to go to bed or their internet connection cuts out, the heist is over. You have to restart it.
Okay,
you have to
I
load
heard
in.
about that.
They have to load in a new person take over, and if they can't, the heist is over. So that guy could literally troll you for the long run when you're actually just trying to make some decent cash. So you have to have a good crew if you want to do heists or anything, because not the extra stuff like the racing and stuff. That's still fine, but like any major money-making activity in that game, you need a crew. You need a crew.
Question: have you spent any money on microtransactions?
No.
Good man. You're a good boy.
I just said I spent money on the game and regretted it.
Okay.
And then I got it for free.
Yes.
And then they gave me a nice big cash thing. The thing is, the people I play with, they generally just hard workers. So they're not so much into microtransactions.
Yeah.
They're big on buying something that's useful in the game. Or if they want to reward themselves, say like they felt like they've done a good year or something and they want to reward themselves. And they feel like, okay, let me just buy something in the game. They'll do it. But they're not those guys that will just spend because it's easier.
Yeah.
Because we're all poor.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I don't... I like Steam sales.
Yeah, you're a Humble Bundle fan.
I'm a Humble Bundle fan. They're great. And then you also get to pretend you did it for charity.
Am I a charity case? Is that what you're trying to say? Am I charity? Because...
No, Humble Bundle's literally for charity.
Oh, okay, I did not know that. Well, I'm glad because I'm contributing. I'm taking the games that you don't use off your hands.
You can choose. This is actually something really cool about it. You can choose on Humble Bundle how much you want to give to Humble Bundle themselves, the developer, or the charity. You can choose how much, unless sometimes they cut it off. For instance, like Rockstar had a GTA sale,
and they stopped giving money to Rockstar.
Well, yeah, they said all of the money that would go to them goes to the charity. So none of the money was going to Rockstar. But they could do that because they sold 140 million copies of GTA 5.
It's actually flipping ridiculous to think that this game is still going. But it's that online factor that gets people coming back, because most of the time people hear great stories about it, see great things, but they don't understand that most of that stuff happens on private servers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of my friends got the game on Epic. He played it for about 2 weeks and he decided no, he's gonna play a mod where they make it more role playing. I think it's called the role playing mod or something like that. It's
original.
Yeah, I know people are great at naming, but it's it was an Indian team that came up with the concept and had a whole system for loading it into.
That's really cool.
Private server, but it played like a public server, and you took on roles. You know, you're a police officer in that city.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, and like he jumped over to there because he got bored with the constant going on. You earn so much money, but then you're spending the money. You know that term, spend money to make money?
Yeah.
Now in that game, it's spend money to spend money.
Yes. Well, that really only applies to the real world.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't realize how realistic that was. But yeah, that game, you want something new, you get bored of it. Maybe you want to. It's almost like you have a midlife crisis, because you have the crisis, and then you go, okay, let me just buy something. Maybe I'm not enjoying the game because I'm not doing something for myself. So you buy a new car, you buy a new base of operations, new outfit, whatever you can afford, new gun even. Or you put a little bit of money in and you buy a new skin. But you do something along that line, right? And afterwards you realize, wow, I just spent 2 million on a car that is really great, but it doesn't make me feel good. And you kind of like fall into that, okay, well, maybe I'm just not playing the game like I should. So you work your way up to jumping off the private server life and going on to public. Worst decision of your life. Because it's not toxic in that sense. Yeah, there are hackers and the people are a bit aggressive on the chat, but it's not toxic. Because you can't call a game's community toxic if the game is designed for them to be toxic. I mean, they're not salty because of their personality or disposition. They're salty because the game wants you to be salty.
It makes sense. And then I guess also kind of keeps you, well, if you want to stay ahead of like, the assholes, you keep, spending money.
Not even then.
Is there also a pay to win element at all?
Oh,
in it
big time.
Okay.
Big time. Because anybody can get, like I said, that hover bike with the rocket launcher. That thing is expensive, first of all. And once you have it, it's the only vehicle you will really use in that game. Because it's got perfect mobility and it's got a great offense. And the biggest problem is that thing can take out helicopters. But there are some really skilled players that have learned. Now, these are the guys, the heroes that have trudged through the public server, defeating troll after troll, coming out as a level 100 paladin. These guys will actively help the new guys on public servers. They're there to essentially deal with the trolls. And they are, I won't call them troll hunters. I would more say they're the trolls that troll trolls. Because these guys, like, if a hoverbike comes, they can just sharpshoot them right out of the air. No problem. That's a problem. That's the only problem with the hoverbike. It doesn't have full cover. So you can shoot the person off. And if you're good in that game and you know how to do it, you can almost every time deal with the troll. So those guys are amazing. The rest of them are either struggling and giving up, or are the trolls that have found an alternative way to play the game, because they probably also got bored and realized there's no point in actually doing anything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play the game until I get my troll devices. I buy everything troll worthy, and then I'm going to go find myself a bridge.
You know, every time you're saying troll, I'm imagining the old toys, the troll toys.
And in the troll game.
Yes. But not the movies, because I've never seen them except the one time when I was forced to watch part of it.
I watched the first one.
I haven't. But anyway, should we discuss our second point?
By all means.
This is wonderful. So, the whole game stonks
the
thing.
Trolls.
The trolls who decided to troll the hedge fund managers. It seems that now two different people have decided to be like, we're going to make movies based on the whole thing. I know one of them is Netflix, and the other one is being written by the guy that wrote the Social Network. So, that's fun. And
I'm not surprised.
No, but it's interesting how, like, this news story was like a week old, and then they were like, we can make money off of this. That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's the Hollywood voice. We can make money off of this. We must ask someone. We must get the rights to their story.
I mean, like, something like this is it's for me, it's like the anti Wolves of Wall Street. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the stock guys that are winning at life. Right now, it's the people that are taking back from them, taking back the money that they've lost, and it's definitely a bit of a revenge movie, but the one that empowers. Basically, let's just say this: there's more common folk that's going to go see this movie than there are rich folk. So
Probably.
they're making the real money there, and I mean, like, it's crazy to think about this. I mean, The Big Short. That movie blew up. I got some stats here. The Big Short made, let me just see, $133.4 million worldwide from a budget of $50 million.
That's not bad.
That's a lot of money that you have extra. Now, that alone for The Big Short is just like, now you've got a thing where the stock people are the bad guys, and they are now. I'm sure they're going to weave it like that. Yeah. And the people are fighting back, but I wonder if they're going to focus on a main character that joins the trend, or if they're going to focus on, say, like a group of people.
Yeah, maybe they'll treat it like Anonymous style, like there's a whole bunch of people coming together. Because really, that is, you know, that's what happened. A bunch of people got together and they were like, we're going to completely just screw over Wall Street.
What if, like, you know, I can imagine, like, I know it sounds ridiculous because they actually might make a pretty intellectual movie about this. But a Fast and the Furious based on this. Now,
where like you have all the flashy sort of
they need to
edits while they're, you know, pushing by, and they're like ha 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 ha, and it's doing like the camera angles around them, and it's doing the quick cuts.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to to the guy on Wall Street being like, and then it cuts back, and he's like, ha ha ha, and cuts back, and he's like, no, we're losing billions.
Maybe it's something like...
And then someone drives off like a train. I don't know what happens in those movies.
I was thinking like maybe more along the lines of like flashy cars.
Yes.
That they need to use their cars to get something. Like maybe they get the information. They find out if they don't get this information, they won't find out what the stocks are. And then the whole thing is to distract these people while they go and steal somebody's something for the good of another nation, or maybe Dom's got another child that he needs to pay for. I don't know. The man's been all over the world. Who knows what he's left behind?
It'll be a fun story. It should be fun to watch when it comes out. I'm probably gonna laugh. I wonder if they will make it a comedy, a very dark comedy.
I doubt it.
I think it will be very serious, but I think it should be like slapstick, like there's a laughing track in the background.
No.
And
this
you
is
get
Netflix. This is, you must think of the Netflix adaptation. You're gonna have to think of that.
Yeah. So it'll be like The Witcher.
I'm looking at
I'm buying stocks.
I don't
I'll
know.
call it GameStonk. I'm an edgelord.
Oh gosh. No, I was just thinking maybe it would be something more, I wouldn't say dry, but more about the politics at play and the economics at play,
probably,
rather than the glory of winning. You
Yeah.
know, like Wolves of Wall Street was that you get to see the happiness, I say with quotations, that these people are feeling, the success that they are getting.
And then the downfall.
Yeah. But not all of them fell down.
Yeah.
And there's that chance, like maybe if I do it differently. With this, it's going to be almost like a cold, calculated execution.
Yeah. But it would also have that sort of, everyone coming together kind of thing. Because it won't be
fighting the bad guy.
Because there's not really a single character in this. It's Redditors versus hedge funds.
Redditors, the new anonymous.
Is that all you've got on that?
Yeah, I just thought it was quite a surprise.
Yeah.
And I always wondered to myself, why am I never told about this before this stocks go up? But actually,
I know that. I was thinking the same.
I wanted to mention Robin Hood.
Yes.
Actually stopping people from buying stocks. Isn't that so ridiculous? Like, I find it ironic. Robin Hood is supporting the rich.
Well, maybe the idea is they were like, oh, we were called Robin Hood, so we're supposed to be like that, but we could change it because they're trying to screw over poor people, so they're Robin the Hood.
Oh, really?
So that could be, that they are just horrible people, like all other people who trade stocks.
It took me a long time, and I'm going to be very honest with you. Robin Hood, I thought Robin as in the bird and Hood.
Yes.
Not the stealing Hood.
Really?
Yes. I thought he's the name of a bird. That's cool. And he wears a hood.
I just know that he was wearing a hood, but I didn't know why it was called Robin. And my earliest memory of Robin Hood is the Disney version.
Yes.
So I was like, it's a fox though.
And then you realize,
so it should be Foxy Hood.
It's the English, the Queen's English Robin.
I think also he wore red. He didn't actually wear green, like he's always shown. Robin's a red. He wore a red cape in the woods.
I mean, does that sound like something else? They didn't want to get the plots confused.
No, you wouldn't want to.
Why are they cooking grandma?
So, the next thing to discuss is the poor fate of E3, the now mostly obsolete thing. Where not last year, 2019, already a bunch of them were being a bunch of the big companies were saying, we're going to do digital events. Since 2016 or something, I think Nintendo has done their own thing, Nintendo Direct. They don't even do it anymore. They don't even do.
Also going.
You see,
full
you see,
digital.
Sony also has their own one. Microsoft, I think they started in the age of Corona. They started their own one. But now E3, the ESA, who are the organizers of E3, I think are well, shit. All the huge corporations that fund us. they discovered YouTube and that they can just upload things for free. So, that didn't work out for them. So they've been talking about making it more of a consumer event. But next year this year, I'm still thinking of 2020, it's going to be an all digital event. No places to actually be, anything like that. So no big convention hall, no big press conferences, no one playing games and getting the flu, because there would be a bad flu now that they could possibly get.
I would say I think it had to head that way.
Yeah.
Think about it. These events are so costly, and then not everybody could attend. Most of the time, people are watching it from their homes.
It's mostly insiders. You get invited.
Exactly.
You get invited to come.
And then, it's a very long event, and then you have to wait for the thing. Now I'm thinking, it was inevitable that companies were going to pull out of these events because they're spending money when they could rather just do it themselves. And with the rise, like you said, with the rise of YouTube, especially in these times, it's obvious.
Yeah,
it's why literal shows on YouTube have popped up. Things that you would normally see on a television channel, midday, because you decide to lie about having a cold, so you could stay at home, and then realize that all there is these boring
days of our lives.
Yes.
And infomercials. But come on, I
infomercial on the weekend, bread and butter.
From my childhood, I remember the vacuum cleaner adverts, and it can suck up wine. It can suck up wine from a white carpet. Suck up nails. I don't know why they'd be nails, but they can suck up nails.
Do you remember that the mop?
Yes.
The mop that could suck up anything, and then
the special twister chopper thing.
Yeah,
you could be like, and it can slice up vegetables. It was great.
It was crazy.
It was a great time.
And then I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I remember one of those shows, and I went to the store, and I had just moved out of my parents' place, and I went to the store, and I looked, and I saw these potato peelers. Now, it was my first grown-up purchase. It's like, I want these potato peelers. Reason why is because I always used to peel with, the potato peeler that came in the set of knives, but it was plastic.
Yes.
I used to peel with that, and it used to take forever, and I used to, gouge out half of the potato before I got everything. And then my parents bought that one. So I tried it out, and I was the only person to really get used to moving up and down as a peeling action. And then I actually bought it. I was like, yes, I got this. But yeah, it's just something I remember from there. I'm like, childhood tells me that that's the best. Maybe they were training me to buy their products.
Yeah.
Now they're obsolete thanks to online stores.
Yes, it did take a while, but eventually it worked on you. And who says advertising doesn't work on this generation? It just had to be an integral part of your childhood.
Yeah. Start them off young.
Exactly. God, I remember those things. Anyway, so the next thing. I think you wanted to say something about the Mass Effect DLC thing.
Yes, the loss of a DLC.
So do you want to say what happened?
It's when I first heard about it, it was a bit tragic about Mass Effect and them now making a almost remastered version of it, editing some bugs that we all had, adding a bit more impact to the experience, trying to get people ready for the fifth installment in the franchise, while slowly excusing the fourth one out of existence. Although it's still on sale on Origin. It's very true, but I can't think of it. Which DLC was it? It was the I'm trying to think of the name now, the exact name of the DLC. Because my experience with Mass Effect is that I enjoyed it, but I only enjoyed it properly once the third one was out, because then all my efforts led up to
complete story.
Something. Yes, because
it's actually a complete narrative.
Play it through, and yes, I agree. The second one was the best. The third one, I unfortunately played it when it first came out, so it meant I got the horrible ending, and I had all my efforts taken from me.
Yep.
Which I found was very depressing at the time. And now that I look at them rebooting it, I think to myself, I believe that the one that they're taking out is to do with the station.
Yeah, I think it's like a station that you go to.
It's I'm just trying to think of it. I can't think if it's the Marine, if it's the Special Forces training station, where you verse the you just verse people to prove that you're the best, and you get rewards for it at the end, and the achievement of besting them. Or if it's the one with the meteor. People are probably swearing at me now. I've actually drawn a blank.
You see, I can't say because I'm one of those terrible, terrible godless heathens who I was a PlayStation gamer back in the day. The first one never came to PlayStation 3. And because it's a very strong narrative-focused game, I refuse to play 2 or 3. Because I'm like, no, I'm not playing them if I don't get the full story. So, you know what? It's been 11 years.
And it's still?
So, no, 9 years. It's been 9 years since the third one came out. And I still haven't played the first one. But, you know, this kind of thing happens. I mean, you know.
No,
I played Deus Ex for the first time in 2012. It came out in 2001. So it's never too late to try something, I suppose. Unless, you know, you're, I don't know, watching like Teletubbies and you're over the age of 2.
Over the age of 2.
But, well...
Pinnacle Station. There we go.
So it's... Yes, my stalling has worked.
Yeah, I had to look. It was so terrible. I can't believe I drew such a blank. Pinnacle Station. Yeah, I was actually, I wasn't too taken aback because I felt like that part of it was cool, but it wasn't essential to the way I played. I mean, I did every mission I could, got every collectible. I was the person that finished everything in the third one before I even tried to finish the game.
So completionist style.
Yeah, I'm not like that with most games, especially not
me neither.
Ubisoft games, because they get you looking for everything.
If you want 100% a Ubisoft game,
yeah, you got to have time.
Yeah, and some of us have jobs and lives.
Yeah, so it was reported that Pinnacle Station was taken out because of corrupt data.
Yeah, so they just lost the master, I guess.
Convenient, eh?
Although this is something that I take very seriously. I don't know how much you do. Archival.
Oh yeah.
Of just sort of anything.
You're a digital hoarder.
I'm a digital hoarder.
You're a digital hoarder.
And to me, when these things just kind of disappear, they're gone forever.
Mm.
For instance, I've got like a famous version that intersects with gaming, but from quite a few years ago, 2007. Guitar Hero 3 brought on board the Sex Pistols to join in. The reason was because the original Anarchy in the UK master was lost. So they had to come in, the Sex Pistols had to come in and re-record Anarchy in the UK because they can only apparently use masters. They can't just get it off YouTube like anyone else can. So, like, this, in terms of, like, official capacity, it's sort of gone forever. Because the master is gone. And so these things are just gone. And,
do you feel betrayed by their lack of organization?
Yes, because I don't give a shit. No, because, like, if you think about, like, say, for instance, all the games, like, say, multiplayer games that you loved, as soon as they take the servers down, if they don't allow private servers, that game is gone.
I had a very bad experience with that.
With an MMO?
Yes, a friend talked me into getting into Worlds Adrift. Great game. It has a unique feature where you have a grappling hook and you can climb. It's basically an air world, so you have floating islands.
Okay.
And you can climb. Your character can climb everywhere. You can
so
go
it's
down.
Like, so it's like Zen.
Sort of, but you also have a grappling hook that you can grapple. You can literally swing, and people got good at it. They were proper Spider-Man with their swinging with this grappling hook. And I would say my friend talked me into it. I played the first day. I had horrible internet connection because I couldn't afford anything better than a 4 megabyte line at that time. And in the fine text, there was a I'm pretty sure there was a clause or something there that said that I had to be soft capped in order to pay such a low monthly bill for it. And it was just slow, and I couldn't. Then I'd say a week later, I had to move. Got a nice place, got a better internet line, and then the game decides, oh no, we're shutting down. So I bought this game. Now, I didn't buy it on sale or anything. I bought it full price. It wasn't that expensive, but the fact is, I bought it, played it once, and when I really wanted to get into it, because he had a ship that he had built, and there's these airships that you can fly through, and it becomes more like a pirate game. And there are trolls. I mean, in the starting area, you can troll someone. I built a ship and someone stole it, so I had to wait for my friend to fly all the way back down the line. It's similar in the sense like, I don't know if you know the One Piece universe, but the islands, they kind of bounce from island to island. It's a very linear path. And that was kind of where I was in the game. So he had to bounce all the way back to come pick me up in his ship because someone had stolen my beginner ship, which meant that they had all the resources to build their beginner ship because they stole mine.
Mm.
And I was upset, but he promised, like, I got a nice ship because I'm on his ship, and we could build the ship together. And then when I got back on, I played for a bit. We parked off at a place. We hit our ship because the ship stayed there. And then, we parked off. And then it came in an email to me that they were shutting down the servers. And I like, you just got into that game. I just started actually enjoying, because now I could be that troll now. I could steal someone's ship.
Easy, that's the whole thing with archival. It's now just gone. And a lot of the time they won't allow private servers.
That's true.
That's the thing. And the famous one was where people were making... back in the day, they had World of Warcraft vanilla servers.
Yes.
And then they kept on getting shut down. And then eventually Blizzard made a World of Warcraft classic, But that isn't what usually happens. The game is usually just gone forever.
Like, take a look at WildStar.
Yes, exactly. WildStar is just gone. Now, it's easier to say with like MMOs because they need online. But lots of games, say for instance, get delisted and they never come back.
There was a game that was, it was a bit of a tricky game. It was, it was called Darksport. The problem with this game is, it was one of those first games that you had to have an internet connection. The entire game was on the CD, but you needed an internet connection for them to verify your copy.
Yes, one of the dickhead moves.
And then they closed the server down. So you can't play the game on single player.
Without activating it.
You physically have the CD that you had to buy from them, but it's now worthless unless you're a collector that likes that sort of stuff. But you can't play it because you can't validate for them to install, and you can't if you do manage to get it installed, you can't do anything on it.
And then also, of course, because you can't get this thing to work, if you pirated it, you'd be committing a crime, even though they won't let you pay for it and download it legally.
Well, the thing about Water Drift is that the community, from what last I heard, were trying to talk the developers into allowing them to pay for, because obviously, the developers didn't want to give them the server, but the developers, the publisher didn't want them to launch the game because it made such a loss. So, I mean, what you're going to do, like, is the fans now going to have to buy the server off of the developer?
And they generally won't because they own the intellectual property. So they don't. And this is like a big thing. But
that's money. You can just sell the rights. You can just rent out the license to the server.
But if you look at these ones, like say Konami would probably never be willing to sell like the Castlevania license because they can make pachinko machines that are Castlevania themed rather than just letting it go. And they're just dicks basically. And also this is like a big thing with like console games. When that console's gone, the game is gone.
Yes.
Unless they're willing to re-release it. Maybe do a remaster or something. So, say games that weren't particularly successful on PlayStation 1, they're just gone. Forever. And the same with Nintendo 64, anything. If the game wasn't super popular, it's just gone. It's gone forever.
Unless you can find somebody that has that CD.
Yes. Unless you can pirate it. That's also another way of saving things.
The whole PT thing. If you didn't have it on your console at the time, it's gone. That's it.
And PT, the really terrible thing about PT is that PT can't even be pirated.
Exactly.
So, you can't pirate it, and you can't
keep it alive.
You can't, so it's gone. And that's because Konami are horrible. And they don't seem to care about their fans or anyone.
No, but it's actually sad. Like, there has to be a limit. There has to be almost like a first suggestion. Like, if you're going to remove a game, it's like spiteful just to remove it because you don't want it there. It's not making enough money. You should at least then go for the free option. Oh, but why should you guys download a game for free that we made? Now, that kind of greed is snubbing out good games. Like, I know it's pirating, but is it really pirating if you're hosting a free version of a game that's a classic? Like, Warcraft 3. Do you believe that it's a crime now with Warcraft 3 Reforged fucking up the whole thing? Do you think it's a crime for somebody to still have an online archive of Warcraft 3?
No, I think
pre.
Yeah. No, I think that they're the people that are keeping it alive.
Exactly.
Because the corporation won't do it.
Because now they've all gone private.
Yeah.
Because they cannot use the with that version use the Battle.net servers.
Yeah.
And because that version is probably cracked, they can only pay LAN. So now you've got this underground community of Warcraft players because they can't stand what Reforged has done to the game.
But this is why you get some developers who are good people, or better at least. Like, say, I think Ed did this with like Doom. Like, you can still play the original Doom. I mean, the one from 93 or 94. Yeah, 93, I think. You can still play that online because they allow private servers. Exactly. So they've just been like, okay, well, we're not going to pay for server costs anymore. If somebody else wants to host the server, do it. And you're not losing anything. And also, you're not going to be making like serious money off of a game that's, nearly 30 years old. You're just not really going to anymore. But by that point, just give it to people for free.
No, but that's what I'm thinking of. Like, the age of companies hosting servers I think it's nice because not everybody can host their own server. But then, I also think that if I pay for your game, I'm allowed to pay on a private server. I can understand private servers like when WoW is concerned. World of Warcraft, their private servers, you don't pay for the game and you don't pay for the server. There you donate. Even then, it's pirated.
Yeah.
Because WoW's thing is, you can play the game for free until level 20, or I don't know what it is now, and then you have to pay for a subscription. Yeah. So the game is actually free, and you pay to play it. Now, with a game like Ark, I've bought the game. The developers have given me a dedicated server. I can start, and also a co-op mode. So I can either run the game in LAN or co-op, and I can have a tether system. So depending how far the person is away from me, otherwise, like, obviously the further you tether, the more processing heavy because they need to render for 2 people or 3 or whatever. And then when you go inside like a cave, the person automatically gets taken with you because it's in a separate instance. That's a tether. But then they also give you an option right underneath it to run a dedicated server, which means that if you have the resources, they have their own section for private servers, modded private servers, and they don't charge you a cent because you've bought their game. And if you want to play their map, right, you can actually get a mod that unlocks certain maps and even certain creatures that you would otherwise get in the expansions. But if you have the expansion, you can play the expansion maps.
But isn't it interesting how Ark, I think, is made by an independent studio?
Yes.
And it tends to be the independent guys, the indies, who are like, oh yeah, we'll allow people to do private service, we don't care. And it's the AAA guys
that are like, no,
that are like, you got to pay for everything. Yeah. So,
it's a lifestyle. They got used to
they got the corporate life.
Yeah, bathing in champagne.
But the whole thing is like, for instance, say, I don't know if Assassin's Creed games still do, but they used to have a multiplayer mode. And basically, once the next game came out, they kind of abandoned the previous game.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, then why couldn't, like, say, once you abandoned it, be like, okay, well, we've abandoned it, so why don't we just let you do private servers if you want to?
It always gets me how selfish they can be, because if you allow private servers, do you know what you're doing? You're taking the expense of hosting a server, but people are still buying your game.
Yeah.
Think about that. They by removing your servers and not allowing private servers, it means that they're effectively also losing their sales. Now, if they allowed private servers and they kept on selling the game, people would still play it because they still want to join the private servers, just like with Ark. But another thing with Ark is Ark 2. I don't know whether to call it a sequel, because it's basically, I kind of feel like it's Ark remastered, better environments, but they do promise a more immersive story to it. But better environments, better, just an overall upgrade. Although I did think it was very strange watching the trailer and seeing Vin Diesel inside the trailer. I was like, okay, so you went from Fast and Furious, you messed up there. Then you went to Bloodshot, and now you're starring in game trailers.
You know what? Some of these indies do pull some serious cash and are able to bring in big talent.
Vin Diesel, I mean, his most notable roles is when he's saying one word, or he's speaking very slowly and very deep, and it's all right. Maybe that's his niche, but he has this tough guy complex. Did you know the guy got the company who produces the Fast and the Furious is owned by Vin Diesel, hence why he's always had the top spot. It's his company. He's actually making movies to glorify himself. I mean, he's got a Stallone complex. You know what I mean?
But he can enunciate a bit better.
Oh, I don't know about if he can direct. I mean, Stallone... No, but Stallone has proven that he can...
He can direct, but he can't talk.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like...
Maybe that's it. Maybe no one listens to the director and does what their experience and training is, and they go, okay, cool, and then make a successful movie.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, it really... I was taken aback. Much love for Vin Diesel. I loved his earlier stuff. I just don't like the tough guy act he's trying to get part of. Just connect with yourself. You can do animation, and now you're putting yourself out there into a game. I don't know if he's going to be a character. Maybe it's just someone like star power to move the trailer further.
I mean, he has been in games before. He was in... there was a Riddick game. Butcher Bay.
I mean, come on, a Riddick game. You can't have a Riddick game without Vin
I know, but it
Diesel.
was an original. It was like, I think he was actually involved in like the story and everything. He's very involved in Riddick. He really likes Riddick. He likes his character in Riddick.
Maybe it's IP for him.
Well, yeah, well, it kind of like, have you seen Pitch Black?
Yes, of course.
Because Pitch Black isn't really about Riddick.
No, it's about the world that he's on.
It's literally like a monster and he's like helping the people. Then the second Riddick thing, and the Chronicles of Riddick, is all about Vin Diesel.
Star power.
Exactly. And then there's the other Riddick movie, which I never saw. But, but was it any good?
Pass.
Anyway.
A hard pass.
So, shall we move on?
Sure, yes.
So, our next thing has to do with corporate acquisitions.
Yeah. Went from stonks to corporate.
Exactly. So here, Gearbox, the guys who made Borderlands and have also bought some things and make Aliens Colonial Marines, they...
Hey, maybe if everybody just downloaded the AI patch and played it again, they'll realize that it's a polished piece of shit.
Okay, it's a polished piece of shit once it got fixed. So it was bought by THQ Nordic, or their parent company. And this company owns quite a couple of things, but this basically means that Randy Pitchford, I don't know how much you know about Randy Pitchford.
I've looked into him a few times.
He is no longer now the big boss, which means that we can all say praise Jeebus. Because his decision-making powers is questionable at best. He shows up every now and then in the news, whether sometimes it's, about magic because he fancies himself a magician. It could be because he isn't paying his people the bonuses he promises them, or because he claims that squirting porn is a magic trick. That's actually something he said when he lost a flash drive with like corporate information on it,
Uh,
and there was
really?
squirting porn on it. And then he was like, "No, she was doing a magic trick."
Like, oh, okay.
Um,
Wait, so that means somebody found
No, I don't know. I think he just announced
that it was
for-
on there, like
in case someone found it. I don't know. Then they know. Then they're like, "There's a bunch of corporate stuff from Gearbox. I wonder who this could belong to. Oh, there's squirting porn. It must be Randy." But interesting man.
I mean, like, it's maybe that was the more valuable data than the actual corporate files. Maybe it's like the homework file.
Well, it was a magic trick.
Yeah, true.
Or at least he thinks it is. And so. Anyway.
Maybe if someone told him there was a free access to him, he doesn't have to keep them on a flash drive.
I
anymore.
know, it's very interesting. Someone just told him that Pornhub
Big
exists.
Boss doesn't have the internet.
It's expensive, Tristan.
Okay, in all fairness, right? Maybe the internet is monitored at work, and he had nothing to do most of the day.
Maybe.
So
he kept it on a flash
So
drive.
when he was bored of practicing magic, he just decided to watch magic.
My biggest question about this is it just the one video on a flash drive, or is it just one he's fixated on?
Or how many flash drives?
Or how many flash drives? Or is this just the one, his Tuesday one? I don't know, but he's a strange man, and he makes many, many bad decisions. And he is no longer in charge, and so that is good. The other people that were acquired is Bohemia Interactive, and they're the guys who made the Armor games, and then also that
Daisy.
like they didn't make the mod, but they made the full version. So I mean they're quite big. They got bought out by Tencent, who are a extremely powerful Chinese conglomerate who is actually the biggest game company in the world. And they own a stake in like Riot Games, Epic Games.
They also own a stake in Activision Blizzard. Not a big stake.
They own a small stake in Activision Blizzard. They are huge.
Basically, when they speak, things disappear off the internet.
Yes. Also, of course, like the if people remember this, I don't know if you know about this. The whole what's his name? Anyway, he was I think a StarCraft 2 pro.
An amazing.
I'm now suddenly forgetting. It's no. I don't want to. I don't want to.
About it. It's think very carefully what you're about to say, because you're about to offend a whole lot of people. Like, there's a community with pitchforks and digital hate mail on their way to you right now, and you haven't never given out your information, and they will know who you are.
Very true. Very true.
They're gonna flame your YouTube page for this.
Very true. But still, it was because of some of that influence that they weren't willing to stand up for their own people.
I've got it here. Let me just.
Yes, check his name. Is it Blitz?
You all know him.
Blitzchung?
You all know him. You all have heard. If you didn't hear about this scandal, this controversy, you're living under a rock, or you're like me with bad internet.
Yes. Well, he says that. But yeah, so Tencent has a lot of power. What is it? Blitzchung. I thought so. Yeah. Blitzchung. And a Hearthstone player. So he was a Hearthstone winner.
Yeah, I was going to say, be very careful what you say.
Hearthstone winner. But yeah, like Tencent is one of the organizations that sort of, because of how much money they have, how powerful they are, they have influence. And you don't want to upset the Chinese government, because then they'll shit on Tencent, and so Tencent will shit on you before you can shit on the Chinese government. So it's kind of a whole situation.
Tencent to me is like I would say like the Disney of game. Of the game industry.
They kind of are, but
they have their games, but they're not really known.
But without the happy look.
Yeah.
They're corporate.
Yeah, they're big corporate.
Yeah, they're huge corporate, and they just own stakes.
And the best part about it is that they can say that they have full transparency, but most of the people they sign on for just appreciate the massive grant they get.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how corporate they are, the amount of money these guys are getting invested into their companies is desperately needed. I mean, the last thing we want during this time is for our game companies to run out of money. I mean,
definitely.
what else are we going to do? And yeah, you can say people are buying games and doing stuff, but times are tough. If then right now, I'm pretty sure people look on the other side. I'm trying to see a little bit happier with them underpaying staff. Because at least, you look at the staff and you're like, well, at least you have a job.
Yeah. But it's always a bit of a worry whenever there's kind of corporate buyouts. But they do say they're allowed to, work independently. They're not going to be interfered with, which I can actually believe, because I don't think Tencent really cares about the creative process. They just care about the money that comes out at the end. So I think they're like, no, you guys are doing your thing. Carry on making your armor games.
I think they're trustworthy because you know what they want.
Yeah.
A company that comes at you and tries to buy you, but then you're like, why? And they go, oh no, we love your game. You want to motivate your franchise. The first thing that comes to my mind is, so you want to say in what I do.
Yeah. Because
if you love the game, you're going to have fan fiction that you're going to want to push into this franchise.
I have something possibly for you that I don't think you heard, because
Star Wars and Disney, anybody?
No, this is something else. This is something hilarious. Okay. This was from a few weeks ago. This is before we started our little show.
I'll talk.
There was a oral history done, like a big, huge news piece where they went and found all the people that were involved, or a lot of people that were involved with the original Xbox, when they were busy actually, when Microsoft was like, we're going to get into games. And it turns out that in the early days, Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo.
I actually remember seeing that.
And EA. They also tried to buy EA. And apparently the hilarious thing with Nintendo, the guy who spoke about this, he said, they just laughed at us.
But Microsoft had the money.
Oh, they have all the money in the world. They're Microsoft.
But Nintendo is stubborn. EA, could you imagine how different it would have been if they were bought by... Because the thing is, yes, sure, now you're dedicated to one platform.
Yeah.
But you work it out in your contract.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft makes more money if you make more money. So maybe Microsoft would have still allowed you to publish on console.
There is one horror story, though, one big horror story when it comes to Microsoft and exclusivity. They bought Rare.
Oh yeah.
And Rare used to make things like Conker's Bad Fur Day and Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye.
I don't know if you've heard of Rare.
And then after that, they were bought by Microsoft and they made Kinect games. For anyone who remembers what the fuck a Kinect was.
I remember wanting one, but not knowing why I wanted one. I just saw people having fun. I didn't realize it was an exercise initiative.
I had an iToy.
Oh, I also had an iToy.
For the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they were shit machines. They were kind of... I remember getting really tired because you have to punch zombies.
Oh, do you know?
With your actual arms. Do you
understand how many windows I cleaned in that game? The iToy game.
Sounds about right. Yeah, yes.
I cleaned so many windows listening to the same song over and over again.
Okay, but what? Okay, at least it was kind of like a happy story when it comes to Ray, because now they made Sea of Thieves, and it seems they actually wanted to make that. And people seem to like it.
Crackdown? Or was it Crackdown? Was it?
No, I don't think they made Crackdown. Oh God, I don't know. I don't know.
Let's get that a pass. We'll come back to that. Maybe I have people swearing at me for even attempting to say that.
Exactly. So
I just remember another abused Microsoft-owned studio was really good, and then they ended up having to churn out shit. They had to churn out flagship products for consoles. What are we going to release this? Because PlayStation had Killzone.
Yes.
That was the staple of when you bought a PlayStation, you got Killzone.
Exactly. The Killzone is kind of Killzone was kind of their response to Halo.
Yeah, that's true.
It was not as good as Halo. Generally, the only really good Killzone is the third one.
Yeah, that's true. It's the only time I actually played it.
Yeah, Killzone 2 is shit. Killzone 2 is a particular gripe for me because it does something which I consider to be horrible, to try and sound tough, and every sentence has swearing in it.
Okay.
So it just loses all oomph to it.
Yeah.
Like, swearing is used for a fucking reason. You don't just put it every fucking place because you fucking want to. It makes it sound stupid.
And overused.
Fucking stupid. So you only use it when it is necessary. Anyway, now we've just spoken about corporate stuff. So, some other corporate stuff. One of my favorite companies is Warner Brothers Interactive. They're wonderful. They don't use all the monetization practices they possibly can fit into something. And so they decided, you know what we should do? We should do something that's great for the creativity of our industry. We should patent a brilliant system that we created so that no one else is ever allowed to use it. And then, once we do that, we're also, well, before that, we're going to make the second game that used this system make everyone hate it because we overload it with microtransactions, and so that will probably never get a sequel. And so the Nemesis system is now just sitting in patentness. Maybe it'll wind up in an Arkham game. You never know. But...
yeah.
So yes, they patented the Nemesis system, which is the system in Shadow of Mordor.
If you didn't know.
Which, you know, kind of gives you personalized nemesis that you fight up against. You know, so they're not scripted, they're sort of built organically. And so you can get...
through your actions.
Yeah, through your actions. You attack them or whatever. If they escape, they become more powerful. If they manage to kill you, they become, like, rise through the ranks. It's like a really, really cool system. Like a mix of sort of randomization and, like, AI building kind of stuff.
Proper character development.
Yeah, and also it's like...
and they'll make fun of you. If they've beaten you and you come back, they will...
And also, it's from, like, everything. People are just like, oh, yes... Whenever I think Nemesis system, whenever I think that game, I think Nemesis system. You go, what about the rest of the game? Oh, it's just Assassin's Creed with a Lord of the Rings cover on it. But it has the Nemesis system. That's really good.
And then they went to pat. The thing is, for me, Warner Brothers, right, has always been that, like, the kid that decided, you know, like, screw you, I'm going to have my own this with blackjack and hookers kind of deal. You know? Disney came out with movies.
So they walk out and they're like, screw the rules, I have money.
Exactly. You know, like Disney started launching their cartoons. Mm-hmm. Warner Brothers launched their cartoons.
Those were good cartoons.
No, they were, but that's what I'm trying to say is like whenever like Disney did something, Warner Brothers did something. Yeah. Disney had a film studio. Warner Brothers is a film studio. Yeah. Is a production company. So it's like, okay, well, they're not going to be like Disney where they buy things. They're just going to do it all. Yeah. All right? And then when they got into the games, it wasn't like they were making games. They were just making gamifications of other media, like of...
although they have kind of... Because Disney did have a run in games, but not really. The last, like, big name Disney game I could think of was Epic Mickey. And that came out like 10 years ago.
Stuck in their own franchise.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with Disney, is that they've put themselves in a box.
Like Nintendo?
Yes. Exactly. They put themselves in a box.
The Nintendo of the cartoon world.
Because, I mean, like, say, we know Disney owns Pixar. Yeah. If Pixar makes a movie that's good enough to make a game out of it, Pixar will get the credit, but in essence, it's Disney. So we don't actually give Disney as much credit as we think. Yeah. But because Warner Brothers does it all, then their logo is slapped on everything. Recording studio, boom, Warner Brothers. Game studio, Warner Brothers. Yeah. You know, they're gonna slap their name on everything, and that's why it feels like Warner Brothers has more products and more influence because they just slap their name on it. But if Disney had to do it, you'd find that a whole lot of things. Yeah. Were actually,
I think also Warner Brothers is quite interesting because Warner Brothers. Their games, Warner Brothers Interactive, mm-hmm. Their games are kind of interesting because I think they really, really came to like the public sphere when they released Arkham Asylum.
Oh yes, big time.
And they proved something which has always been a problem like games. You can actually make a good licensed game. It's possible. It's possible to make something good.
But I think they were just very lucky. Think about it. Batman.
I think
Batman was going to Batman will translate into a movie. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's translated into an anime, so you can translate into a musical.
Yeah.
You can have Batman is a great IP to merchandise.
Yeah.
You know, they have series for Batman. It was only natural that they got games for Batman. He's just such a character that can be used so well, and they have gone to that sin. I mean, I bet you that there will be, and there probably is, a Batman themed band where all they do is sing Batman songs.
Well, there is Bat Metal.
I mean, okay, there we go again. It's transferred over to YouTube so well if you just know what you need. I mean, it's just such a good marketable IP. It's because of the fan base. It is impervious to anything.
However,
don't mention that. Don't mention the port to PC.
No, I wasn't going to say that.
Okay, good.
EA was given the Star Wars license. Okay, you can fuck up a good thing.
Yes. I mean, they messed up, but when Disney reprimanded them,
yeah, then they made Fallen Order,
and everybody loved that.
And then they gave the license to Ubisoft.
Now, the thing is, that scares me. Like I said before, it scares me for one reason. Ubisoft likes to put collectibles in the world.
Yeah.
Boxes. Yeah. Or items. Like
and it'll play like Assassin's Creed.
Is Assassin's Creed. I have to collect pots, notes, skins, like actual animal skins. And it's like, I want to be able to look at my map without all these icons over my... I actually completed the game just because I wanted to have a map that didn't have icons on it. My OCD kicked in and I stopped off, like, Black Flag was the worst because the rest of them you can still move about, but Black Flag you had to get off your ship, swim to the small island to collect a little light thingy that you have to jump to get, and then swim back. Do you know how much time it takes to swim?
You're giving me flashbacks to The Witcher 3.
Oh no!
When you go to what are they called? The islands.
Yeah.
Where Skellige Isles.
Yeah.
Where also I had to collect everything because that's the way my brain works.
Oh yeah,
it's just sailing for like 6 hours straight, just sailing to different places, diving under the water, collecting a chest, coming back up, sailing to the next one. And I would just have a podcast on in the background and the whole time be thinking, at the moment I hate this game.
Yeah.
I really hate it. It's a shit game. And then I finished all that and I was like, oh, it's actually great now.
Yeah, but it was that moment where the developer thinks, you know what will really pad out the runtime?
Just throw random shit in the water.
Traveling. Yeah. There's a reason why games came up with fast travel. And then even if fast travel was too boring because the game was meant to be a large scale world, so fast traveling just means traveling. Then they at least added random encounters to spice things up. When you get those tasks that you don't need to finish, but you have a moral obligation to do.
Yeah.
That for me is the worst. And I hope they can push out a great Fallen Order 2. Like, I'm hoping. But Ubisoft is also known for their how do I say it? I won't say it's microtransactions fully, but they're also known for a bit more aggressive marketing when it comes into their games.
They've really gone into their live service model.
Exactly.
It's been their big thing now, where they're like, every single Tom Clancy thing, of which there are as many as there are Mario games a year.
Fair enough, it has calmed down a bit. I mean, I'm still waiting for Biohazard to come out. Is it Biohazard? Is it Tom Clancy's Biohazard?
No, Biohazard is Resident Evil.
It's Resident. Oh wow, that's shocking. But what's the one with the virus that Tom Clancy and it's a virus one?
Well, the second one came out.
That doesn't help.
Tom Clancy's insert generic name here.
The Division 2.
The Division 2. It is the Division 2.
It's a random name.
Yes, it's the Division 2 is the one with the virus.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
The Division, okay.
There's a pandemic. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I know it supports it's a pro-gun game. Because I know it starts off by saying, those who had guns were able to defend themselves. That's all I know. It is a Division. I'm sure it's a Division.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Vindication!
Vindication.
Also, Tom Clancy's dead. I don't know why they're still using his name. He didn't write any of these. It was just his name. It's a very...
It reminds me of like back when I was younger. I used to think of like when people put someone's name before a game, it was very pretentious. Like I didn't like
Sid
yeah. I was just about to just mention that. I thought it was pretentious until
American McGee has such a cool name that his name deserved to be on the front of that game. American McGee's Alice. I have never played it, but the name I know.
Really?
No, I've never played. Never got around to it. I always wanted to. But we all have these gigantic gaps in our experience.
Still sour about that. You know?
No.
You're currently playing Doom.
Dome, as it's pronounced.
Right? And it took you a while to get. How it took you forever to get to Saints Row 4.
Yeah.
So, you know...
I'm a poverty boy. I get things when they're 90% off on Steam.
But I don't think it's a bad thing because, to be honest, I'm a bit jealous. I hate... okay, I won't hate, but I get a little bit upset when I talk to people and it's their first time playing a game that you enjoyed. And you're just like, wow.
They get to play it.
They got to play it and they got that feeling. That feeling's great. Maybe I should replay it. Worst decision of your life. Don't go back. It's like, don't meet your childhood heroes.
You know what, though? One of my other big things about saying, like, oh, I'm going to play Doom now. You know, it came out in 2016. It's fully patched.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
I don't have to sit there going, it's broken. It doesn't work. It corrupted my save. I don't have to do any of that. It just... That's why Cyberpunk... I'm going to get Cyberpunk in 5 years. When it's fixed and when all the DLC's out.
That is true. Like I'm now just saving up money to get Borderlands 3 because they've had their run. They've had their patches, their DLCs. Now it's time for me to buy. Like the thing is, I'm gonna step back to Ark now again, but that's the same thing. I was waiting for Genesis 2 before I bought any of the expansions because they're going to have a deal. They're going to have a bundle deal, a deluxe deal.
This was actually my thing with Borderlands 2. I don't know if I ever told you this story. I love Borderlands 1. And then I was like, I'm going to get Borderlands 2. So I go to the shop and I saw Borderlands Game of the Year Edition. Borderlands 2 Game of the Year. This is on PlayStation 2. Then I saw a news story. Season 2 of the DLC was going to start. And I was like, that means that DLC is not going to be in that Game of the Year Edition. There's going to be a season 2 of fucking DLC, so I will just wait. So I played it like 2018. So I got to get all the DLC in one package.
And then they still released that DLC just before the
Yes, they also
3.
did that. Yeah.
But luckily it was free, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't play it because I'd already deleted it. I'd already finished it.
So I recommend it because it's they needed to fill the gap between 2 and 3. They needed to, and I think this expansion the DLC was the right way to do it.
Yeah, but this is also
and for free.
This is also kind of your philosophy sometimes too with series. Wait till the season is done,
and
then you watch it all.
Yes, exactly. Because I binge.
I hate watching anything 1 week at a time. I hate it so much, and I've been forced into it by other people. People are like, oh no, I can't wait till it's all done. That means I have to watch it.
You remember back in the day where that wasn't an option? Because if you didn't watch that episode on the TV, it was gone.
Forever.
Yeah,
yes.
It was gone.
I know. I remember getting really angry when...
you had to buy the box set.
No, when I was picked up from aftercare earlier than usual, and so I missed Dragon Ball Z. And I was very upset when that would happen.
You knew it because now the talk of the next day is going to be that episode.
And although looking back,
it wasn't much that you missed.
No, there's 20 episodes for One Punch. So it's really okay. I survived. I made it. Praise be to our creator.
And like I was saying, and if you did miss it, you would have to be lucky enough to have the money and the time to purchase the box set before it was. And then back then we used to buy. I used to buy mine at Musica. Now they no longer
exist.
Yeah.
Well, physical retail is going the way of the dodo. No
It
one.
was hunted to extinction by man.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
When you walk into a musica, you could see the employees looked really, really scared, and they gave you a spear at the front, and they were like, "Go get him." You can get a box copy of Shazam if you do it.
No.
Because they wanted severance packages, which, as we know, severance means you have to actually sever something. That's what I learned when I did economics. I didn't do economics. I just watched a YouTube video about it. But I believe that's what severance is.
Fully educated.
Exactly. I'm fully educated on severance packages. You just have to sever someone.
For those of you, okay, you wouldn't even know this. So this is for you, the listener. Just to inform you, we used to work in a video store in the golden age of Netflix.
Yes.
So seeing physical
like 4
retail,
years ago.
like seeing physical retail go out, it's more of a joke for us because we were told that physical media would still be around, and we were working at a video store that
like a
barely
blockbuster.
even like a blockbuster, and they barely even had Blu-ray for that matter.
Yeah, I think they had like one Blu-ray for every big thing.
Yeah.
I think they had 2 for Endgame or something like that, or Infinity War, whatever it was.
So get this, right? You know, pirating's bad, I get it. But the owner used to pirate the videos so you can check if they're good enough so that he could then buy it for the stores. And what I'm trying to get with this point is basically when we see stores go out, like physical retail stores, it's a bit of a laugh for us because we worked in a physical retail store to some extent, and we were always told that the business would outlast. They've beaten almost every other thing competitor on the market. We down here had V's Videos that this video company outlasted. And there was also a big one. It had like a face brick, Mr. Video.
Mr. Video.
We had that down here.
There was one. It was not a chain. It was just one. I think I saw it in Hermanus. It was called Dude, Where's My Video? And that is one of the best named places.
No.
That is great.
The best marketing name was back then, we called it a demotivational. Now it's called a meme.
Yeah. We're old.
And it was the best advertising I've ever seen. To this day, I still remember it. Furniture company, Sofa King. The reason why I love it is because of their slogan. So it's Sofa King. So Sofa and King, right? And their slogan is, our prices are Sofa King low. Brilliant. I am so chuffed with that. I think they said the slogan and then they came up with the name.
I think so too. That is great. See, we just have to be inventive.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Sofa King though.
But now you're going to remember because their prices are so fucking low.
So, shall we move on?
Yes.
We just mentioned The Witcher. Speaking of The Witcher, then, someone or a group hacked CD Projekt Red and got the source code for The Witcher and I think also Cyberpunk. And then they were like, if you don't give us the money, the ransom money, like it's a child, we're going to sell it. And CD Projekt went and said, fuck you.
Yeah, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
So it went online, and the latest I heard, it was bought by someone, so it actually went online.
Yeah.
But I don't really see what you're going to lose. I mean, id used to put up their source code after a game was released. So I mean, it's not really
because people are still buying they'll still buy the game, not because of the code, but because of the story and the experience. I mean, for me, stealing CD Projekt Red's Witcher and Cyberpunk source code is like it's like hacking into Tom Hanks's iCloud and taking his nudes. It's hot topic, but no one's actually gonna really make a scandal out of it because I mean, people that do look at Tom Hanks nudes are looking at Tom Hanks nude, and Tom Hanks is just gonna be okay. Well, it's out. what are they going to do?
Yeah, he's also America's sweetheart, so he'd
So-
be like, it's
And
okay.
most people would just shame you for it. And I feel like that's what we should do. We shouldn't publicize this. There must be full documentation of the event. But I think the majority of the reaction shouldn't be surprised and in awe, like, oh, they managed to break in. I think we just should shame them because, I would say that CD Projekt Red, they make good content, but does that justify their ethics? I think it's a bit of a balance. I'm not too sure what you think.
Well, seeing as they remade their development costs before the game even released, just on pre-orders, I think they could have waited longer and treated their workers better rather than releasing it as soon as they could.
But that's pressure because of the community.
Yeah, well, what you say to that is, fuck you, we're going to release our game when it's ready.
I think
you get other people that do that. They're like, well, it's not ready, so we're going to wait.
But when you're the hottest game,
yeah,
when you're the number one and you're not peacocking.
Well, the thing is, before that, people weren't being harassed at the company. As soon as it released and it wasn't working, people got harassed. So if you just... It's kind of like, what's it called? Star Citizen.
Yeah.
If they take another 67 years to release that game...
It's probably going to be a live service.
But, you know, like, they won't be, like, attacked for it. People will just be like, oh, it's Star Citizen has managed to somehow raise another $100 million. You know, they just did it. But if it releases and it's not literally the second coming of Jesus Christ, people are going to get angry.
That had a baby with Freelancer. Because we all know where this came. We all know the franchise that spawned.
Exactly. Unless you've never heard of Freelancer.
That's another one from Microsoft right there. That was
Back in the day.
That was during Microsoft's first golden age.
Yeah, they
Xbox golden age.
Didn't Microsoft?
You're talking
Did they make
Age of Empires?
Yes. Because they made Age of Empires.
Age of Mythology. You got your do you still remember the Microsoft intro where it was like this metal liquid that used to fly through the screen and then it hit and then Microsoft Game Studios, like that Microsoft.
Yeah.
That Microsoft that used to accompany games almost as frequently as Sahara was in game making games. That golden age. That
company, I don't even know what happened to.
I think they just conceded.
I remember because I remember them from my childhood. They were like every fucking game, PC game.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did anything.
Console. No. I think they died out before the console age.
Yeah.
So, but like I'm talking about that Microsoft. That's where freelancers find. If you play it, you'll find like you can even see like Elite Dangerous is basically just, or Starport Gemini is basically Freelancer, but kitted out to make it more sci-fi, more engaging, more. It was at that time. It was like that's how you make a sci-fi spaceship shooter. I mean, then you got Eve that came out, and they changed it. They made it more of orbital combat.
Although something that's actually kind of funny, I did not know this, but because you say, oh no, Elite Dangerous is like based on like Freelancer. Freelancer probably got a lot of inspiration from Elite, which was from 1986.
Yes. But just because someone improved on your old thing doesn't mean. I mean, like
no. But imagine how you're sitting there at Elite Dangerous and you're like, I keep saying we're trying to be like Freelancer.
No, I'm just like, I'm not praising them because they started. I'm praising them because they added that technology. Yeah. I mean, imagine someone didn't get the concept of making those cornflakes box shooters. You know, your Wolfenstein 3D, your Dooms. You wouldn't have Call of Duty. If people started the mindset of being external, right, playing from a bird's eye view of a character instead of getting right into them or going down just behind them, you wouldn't have gotten that. Now, I'm not saying it was one of those games that spearheaded the industry. I'm just saying that the way Microsoft did it, and back then you could have servers with Elite Dangerous levels of community on it, especially when you got the Discoverer mod for it. I think that it opened up the possibility that there could be more to the genre with that. And then recently we've had this massive boom of these games. There was also another game. I believe I got it for free on Epic, and then I told
you about it,
and I loved it. What was it called? And then I played number 2, which was fantastic because the lore, the actual the people you interact with was great.
I can't remember what it was called, but I remember telling you that you might like it.
Did it have rogue in it? No, it didn't. Did it have the word rogue in it? No. You don't know.
There's the word galaxy in it. Wasn't it Rogue Galaxy? Wasn't it Rogue Galaxy?
Yes. I think I wasn't.
We're brilliant.
I wasn't too ecstatic because having played Starport Gemini and having played a little bit of Elite Dangerous at the time, and being a big freelancer fan, waiting for Star Citizen, playing. There was another game out there, but it was less of a game that I wanted, like the other 3, but more of a game where you start in the ship and you just have to keep on going and trying to make it to the end. You keep on dying and restarting from the beginning. I can't remember that name. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, because I also enjoyed that one, but it didn't have the same.
And you just couldn't get into Eve.
Oh no, I couldn't get into Eve. Yeah. So looking at that and then seeing these games come out that are all like it, I can't help but think back to Freelancer when I see them, but not because it's just a upgraded version. I'm thinking maybe I can get the same fun that I had from Freelancer out of this game, and that's what propels me. Another game that I was actually really surprised came out with almost a reboot was Aquanauts. Aquanauts, sorry. Aquanauts was basically an underwater space, like Freelancer and Elite Dangerous, but underwater. And it was basically like the earth flooded and humanity is now living underwater, and the way they travel is with these submersibles, and you're a mercenary that is doing mercenary work. Well, technically it's more of you're a guy that needs money, so you take the job, and then it just propels and goes a bit crazy. But then it's the same thing. You save enough money to either buy better weapons or you buy bigger ship for what you want. If you want to trade, you get a cargo ship, but all underwater. And that game was old, like it was very old, and it was sort of difficult to play because the mechanics were quite stiff. They hadn't quite figured it out yet. And then out of the blue, I see on the news feed that Aquanauts, and I'm thinking to myself, but didn't this game already exist? And I looked like, wow, they actually rebooted it, and it looks fantastic. And I didn't hear of anybody raving about the game. So my thought is, why reboot it? It's such a random reboot. Like, why even?
This happens though sometimes. Random shit gets rebooted, and you're like.
I mean, it wasn't big back then. The only reason why I played it is because my uncle bought it. Like back then, the bargain bins. He bought it out of a bargain bin, and it was this proper plastic.
You can get some of the best shit out of bargain bins.
Square CD cases.
Oh yes.
So like, it wasn't a hectic game, and I'm just thinking to myself, why reboot it? It's just such a strange reboot.
If it's cool, that's cool. So, shall we discuss our final news story? So,
gaming news on the gaming podcast.
Gaming news on the gaming podcast. You're joining us. It's late on I'm going to say August morning. It isn't August, and it's not morning. So, the greatest service that has ever been created was Google Stadia.
There we go.
Essentially billed as like Netflix for games. You play whatever you want. They're run on separate systems. You just have to have a good enough internet. You can play anything. You can play Cyberpunk on your phone. That's like the idea. You don't have to use your actual device as the machine that's running it.
So long as you have a good internet connection and you're able to process streaming,
yes,
you could play it.
That's the idea. So this was like, wow, that's a great idea. So long as you're not in the third world.
or just, it was actually a terrifying idea, because this posed to not see, Google wasn't just trying to attack a platform. Google was attacking gaming. Google was attacking consoles and computers. This is where the PC Master Race and the console elite had to actually take a step back from their war and really take a look at Google, because This was a bold move. You're taking out almost an entire industry, because that's the backbone of the gaming industry, is the equipment used to play games. That's where, because games are made using that equipment or made for the next generation of that equipment. It all revolves around the equipment. And Google was going to say, we'll buy the equipment, you just pay us a subscription.
Yeah. Then they decided, we're going to invest a lot of money in this, make our own games, let third parties come in. We're dedicated to this because we're Google and we have a great track record with sticking to things that we do. We don't stop most of our services about a year after we start them. So it's been a year and they've now essentially stopped Google Stadia. Google Stadia is still around. Still fine, you can still pay however much money it is a month for it, whatever. Still buy the games, but Google itself will no longer be making games itself for the service, which is all but abandoning it, essentially.
I think that's just, I think that was inevitable.
Yeah, and I think so too. But like this reminds me of the Amazon thing, where Amazon was like, we've got billions, we can make games.
But this wasn't a company who wanted to make money off a medium. This was a company that was threatening the industry with their innovation. Think about it. It probably didn't do so well because it didn't get much hype. Why? Because the most people it appealed to was mobile gamers. And mobile gamers are diehard mobile gamers. Right? So, yeah, it's okay, but...
mobile gamers and also like hardcore tech people.
Like, for instance, it's like, if you I'm going to use this analogy. If you have a dog, you get a dog for your child. The dog and the child love each other, right? But the dog bites you. That's what I'm thinking of. The dog, right, being Google in this instance, and the child being their target market. But they bite the person that pays for your food, bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
The child might be your owner, but the parent is the one paying for it. Now, mobile gaming might be its own thing, but the biggest mobile games, or let's just say like this, you don't make games on the platform they're intended for unless you're making PC games. Because you take away the use of PC parts, now they become more expensive, or they go behind distributors. Now you need to know a guy at a distribution company that you can buy cards in bulk, buy components in bulk, because they expect you to set up servers rather than because that's another thing. You're taking away the creativity. Why would Nvidia need or AMD need to make cards made for graphics output when they can make cards specifically designed for server output? Yeah. I mean, it's taking out a whole market.
It's an interesting thing. Like, it's a really cool idea. I love the idea of essentially being like, there's no longer need for PCs or consoles. I like that idea, that you can basically play it on anything. It's a cool idea. But I think also, even though, yes, it's now 2021, and it started this in 2020, the internet is still, in terms of the world, shoddy.
Yes.
Like, okay, for every, Finland, Japan, and South Korea, where, like, internet's great, there's also, a South Africa. There's an America. America has, depending on where you live, either really good internet or really, really shit internet. Same with, like, the UK. If you live, like, in the country or something, you often have shitty internet. It's like everywhere else, And then, you get places like, say, for instance, a country like Myanmar. They only got internet like 3 years ago. There's no way they can be a part of this. So it's a whole... Internet is not great.
I also had my suspicions behind this. So, Google has a track record of basically innovating so much that they end up attacking the industry that they're innovating for. So here for the games industry, Stadia was attacking the very core of gaming and the big companies that are making a massive profit out of it. Now, I remember a couple of years back, and I had to just check this out now, that Google tried to make a modular phone. And I don't know if you remember this.
I do remember this, yes.
This modular phone was said to have companies to invest, and like you get a Canon module.
I remember you being excited about this.
I was. And because I like the idea of like, okay, you want to use your phone as a gaming platform. This is when mobile game was like properly in my to-do list. And they had this thing where you could take a NVIDIA made graphics card and just put the module onto your phone. And I thought that was great. But do you know who they attacked? Every single other mobile company. And you think Apple, Samsung, Sony, at that point even Nokia, not very happy with the fact that they posed a phone that would make all other phones obsolete. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the essential thing with, like, say, Stadia would only have worked. Yeah, this thing looked really cool. The modular phone.
Yeah, it does. Eh?
But like, yes, if Google was to be like, we're going to pump like billions into game development, and we're going to pump out as many games as Nintendo, let's say, and they pump out, a lot of games a year, enough to be like where people buy a Switch just for Nintendo games, that still isn't going to really be like enough for someone to go onto Stadia. Like you need third parties to come in to like also put games, and they didn't really seem that interested.
But you know why you need third parties? Because a company that comes with a financial background of being a corporate company and coming in there to make money, and they have money to spend, they need the third party companies, because it's the third party companies that understand what games are about. These guys see a potential profit and they will invest in it, but they don't actually understand. And that's the same thing that happened with Amazon.
Yeah, well, they don't understand the industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they missed us. They missed us big time. The same with Google. Google likes to always pose as being forward thinkers and always innovating, but they do a lot of backwards innovating, where they innovate to the point where they actually put themselves in a place where they're going to make a loss.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you know about this. I don't know if it still is their slogan, but Facebook had a slogan which was move fast and break things, which isn't really a very good corporate motto to be like, we're going to like innovate so quickly that no one's going to be able to catch up.
Or maybe they're promoting ADHD.
all that, but it's kind of a self-destructive way of doing things. Because sadly, you can't, like, you have someone's like, oh no, I'm going to create like the most powerful console of all time, and no one can afford it. You're sort of like, well, like say you somehow made a machine that's like more powerful than PCs will be in for 10 years still, and you're like, oh, it's the most powerful machine. By the way, it's like, $150,000. People would be like, no.
There are problems like that. Like, for instance, like, let's take a look at another industry. Let's take a look at the car industry. Now, you've obviously heard of Bugatti, right? And they make a car, the fastest car in the world. And then they beat that record by making another car, right? But seriously, you own it for its status.
Yeah.
So, like, I love building computers, but I'm not going to go full out unless I'm doing it for myself. And only then I'm doing it to brag. I mean, that's the real reason behind it. But if I want to build a machine that I want to play games on, it's not going to be flashy. I just want it to work.
Well, I mean, that's ultimately like the thing, I suppose, with in the beginning of Stadia. I have Stadia. It would have been like the first generation of VR. I have a VR headset. That it's like it is a bragging thing, because you get to be like, in the first ones were horrible clunky things.
I just thought it was a great thing for E3. If you're releasing a VR game at E3, right? Instead of demoing it in front of people, anybody who's able to connect their VR, right? Give them a key, and then while the demo is going, you hear it. But for that window, anybody who has that key and the headset can jump right into the VR demo. Think about it. Now people are listening to you, but they don't have to worry about, oh, they're watching it, where's it going? You literally open up a server just for the demo and you have the people jump in from across the world.
This actually kind of reminds me of something. You know Devolver Digital?
Yes, yes.
Last year, I don't know if you ever watched the E3 Devolver Digital videos.
I didn't. I listened. I was one of those people that could only listen in because video was too hectic to deal with.
They are. I love their stuff.
Oh, man.
I think it's the most hilarious stuff. But last year, because of the coronavirus, they made a game. I think it was for free, and it was a 3D reconstruction of the E3. And you could go to the Devolver Digital booth, and also it was played like a game, and there was like a boss at the end and everything. But you could go and like play all of the demos. That's great. More people should do that.
But that's what I'm saying. With this age of
Devolver
going digital,
is great. I love them so much.
You should be able to. I mean, why can't we? Because before it was an event where you had to be or you could watch. But now that it's all digital, why can't you open up a window instead of showing your game to people and only having the people, the journalists who are invited, play it and then write about it? Or show a let's play of the demo. Why can't you open up a window now that everything's digital, and in that window, those people, like, you basically have a launcher, like the Steam store, but for E3. And then the moment when the game's being talked about, the game becomes available. Then you can play the game's demo, but at the same time you have the commentary running the guys are saying live.
I think that could be really cool.
That's the next age for it.
I mean, you don't even need to make it necessarily live. You could just release it. And then people could check it out in their own time, kind of thing.
But I'm saying, like, when the people are playing in that window, because you want people to attend. You want people. So a little bit of a marketing side also.
Well, I suppose it's like a YouTube premiere.
Yes, exactly.
Like that,
Like you want them to all be watching, so your ratings can go up.
I think one of the things that E3 was really good for, and I know this is why like Gamescom is still like a thing, is it's also a networking thing for professionals in the industry.
I mean, it all starts out as that.
Yeah, I know it's become more of a consumer thing now, but...
But, you know, the networking is down, but what it does help with a lot is getting people interested. I mean, think about how many more people will now attend E3 if you're offering a live demo, and then they're forced to listen to your chatter. So it's not like, oh, but then they won't listen to us. I'll just play the game. No, your live stream is in the background. Maybe if I don't have a VR set and I have a computer and you're releasing Half-Life 3, put me a demo, give me a key. Keys can be sold separately. They could actually be sold as tickets. So now everybody can watch the event, but the people that want to play the demo, now you're leaving your game up to public feedback. Because now you're not taking it from professionals or professional journalists or people that you can pay off that write these grand things and you get great reviews, but the game is shit.
I think if it was just like a personal thing, like basically you go into it and it's just you. If it was like, say, essentially an impromptu multiplayer game where, you know, everyone who has a key joins the same lobby, then you'll get what happens with every single multiplayer lobby in the first few days where it doesn't work.
Well, then they're getting the full experience of the game.
It crashes.
But think about it. Did they miss out? No, they delivered exactly what they were going to deliver on the first day. They gave you what they promised. Is that so bad? That is true.
It would be like if I don't know if you saw this. It was beautiful. A couple years back, Naughty Dog was showing off Uncharted 4. And the demo broke. And Nathan Drake was walking and he suddenly stopped and they had to restart the whole system
to get
it to work again. And then, because they're like good sports and also abusive to their workers, because they're good sports, they added in a achievement where if you stood in that spot for 15 minutes, like in the E3, you get an achievement. I'm like, that's cute. See, so sometimes there should be broken things. Or like when Nintendo first showed off the Wii, and they were doing this with the things, and it wasn't working, and then they said to the crowd, they're like, if anyone has cell phones, please turn them off.
You know, hey, I was actually thinking, like, since there's been games, there's been bugs.
Yes.
And we've treated bugs in games as a very much a it's a game, it's gonna have bugs. And then there are companies that take it too far, like Bethesda, where bugs just became a clear sign of negligence.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the bugs that we all hated. They were out there and you couldn't do anything about them. And you were just so relieved that you managed to get past it. I'm talking about games where you only got the guide the next week if you bought the magazine. Now, I'm talking about, like, for instance, when you first buy a game on PlayStation 1 and you put it in and you get that loading screen and you praying that Sony PlayStation logo pops up out of that white background. You're praying. You are down on your hands and knees begging whichever faction you decide to support so that this icon could show up.
It reminds me of Jack X. Did you ever play Jack X? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The corrupting data thing, which was really bad. And they've eventually found out how to fix it.
Yeah.
Turn off the autosave function and you save when you finish. When you, like, quit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it corrupts your save. For whatever reason.
It was a hard time because basically...
And PS2 couldn't be updated, so...
There was that. And then also PS2 had the thing where you're going in with the blue and the boxes and you're just waiting for the logo to appear, because you know the moment that logo appears, you're in the game. Do you know how many times, that much deodorant I have wasted on CDs? I mean, I know CDs were the next invention, right? But man, if only life was easy as it was with a cartridge. You know... So what happens when you blow on a CD? If you're not holding it tightly? Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I do not miss the CD days. You know what? If you watch something on Netflix, it can't have scratches. If you're playing a game that's on Steam, it can't have a scratch. It also doesn't have that stupid code you have to put in. It just works. As Todd Howard told us.
I'm a big fan of buying old games on Steam and then replaying it, because the thing is, if I have an old game, like CD, I won't touch it. Reason being is because it's not that it's scratched or probably won't install. It probably won't work. But with Steam or GOG, you know that when you buy the game and you play it, it's going to work on your Windows 10. You don't have to do anything to it.
Well, yeah, not always. Like, GOG is better, but Fallout 3 doesn't work on Windows 10, or at least not on mine.
Yeah.
So that can happen.
For me, it's unfortunate for me. Star Wars Empire at War. Now, that was one of the biggest Star Wars games to come out. And I have the box, not that they can see, but behind you, I have a collector's box for all the games. This included...
what a nerd.
This included Commandos. Is it Commandos?
I know this box. Yes. You gave it to me once so that I could play something.
It also has Knights of the Old Republic and Jedi Outcast 2 on it.
I think I got Knights of the Old Republic on it from you.
So that set is actually it's a bit of a pain because the game is too old for me to get running properly, and I've tried every compatibility. I mean, I was even considering just partitioning my hard drive or getting a virtual machine going so that I could install Windows XP that I still have sitting right next to the Star Wars and installing it so I could play it. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I need to get this. Then I realized Steam has it. Great. So I bought it. Unfortunately, it's one of those moments like your Fallout 4 where either it works on your system or it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you reformat your computer, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
My problem was the game only allocates like 2 gigabytes of RAM to it, and I'm sitting with 16.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allocate the rest of it. So the more units you have on screen, and then now there's, if you go into a map, you got units. The more units you have, the more effects you have, the slower your game runs. This is one point where you are invading Tatooine, and you land, and because people are pouring out of the houses off in the fog, it's still rendering them. So you land, and it is a slow 2 FPS game
That's fun.
on a system that runs. Okay, I try to make everything run at 60 frames, but it should run that game. It's just a problem in the original code.
This actually reminds me of a thing I came across recently because I'm going to be making a video about it. GTA San Andreas. There's a frame limiter on it. Very irritating frame limiter, which limits it to 30 FPS. But the thing is, if you unlock the frame limiter, some things don't work. For instance, you can't dive underwater if you're letting it run at like 120 frames like you can if you unlock the frame rate. So every now and then, to make it work, you have to turn it off and have 30. And as soon as you do that, you just go, oh my god, it's so chunky. Like immediately, it just, because you're playing it at like over 100.
Yeah.
And then it just drops to 30 and you're like, wow, okay, it doesn't look good. But I think that's also one of the big problems with games. The older they get, systems become incompatible. Unlike movies, which you can just watch.
But like, it almost like, for me, it's a bit hard to say goodbye. I mean, I'm trying to think of talking about Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. That still
works. Well, my one works on.
But a large portion of the game is locked behind incompletion. There is a mod that you can. Now I'm not too sure if I'm right about this, but it's either 1 or 2 that is locked. The majority of the game is locked behind, and modders, once the game was released, started developing, and they unlocked basically a whole chunk of the game that was locked behind.
I think it might have been the second one, because the second one's Obsidian, and they did the same thing that they did with New Vegas.
Yes. But it's not their fault.
No, it's not their fault. They were told they have this much time.
Wait, New Vegas, Bethesda, Star Wars, EA. There's something about these companies working for profit with Obsidian that doesn't gel right. I'm kind of thinking how much Outer Worlds is locked behind now. I'm a little bit curious.
I will see. But I think, do you have anything else?
No.
I think that's pretty much it then.
That's right.
So, well, because I'm a terrible person, I have all of my things which I can plug. Do you have something to plug, good sir?
No, I'm good. Maybe later on in life.
When he gets a soul.
Gets a hobby.
Hobby.
Other than playing games and then talking to you about them.
Exactly. I'm very easy to talk to. People just open up and tell me their deepest secrets about, Warcraft porn or whatever they do.
Did you see that video?
So anyway, with me, it's pretty much LC Lupus on the YouTubes, LC Lupus on Twitter, LC Lupus on Instagram, and Wailing Wolf as my blog.
Please check out his blog. There's tons of content on his blog. He's been doing it for how long?
Nearly 3 years.
So there's tons of content.
I'm very tired.
If you like his opinion on this podcast, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy his opinion on his blogs.
I think that my next... actually, I don't know what the next one is. But I think there'll be 2 articles about Yakuza soon. In which one I talk about how he's a very polite man, even though he beats the shit out of people. It's very fun. It's fun. So that's pretty much that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening to the 2 Cents Report.
It was very fun. And as I said last week, I love you. So I was raised Methodist. We don't do night services.